So in the text, when they come back down, there is an interesting twist. What happens here, that this boy is brought by his father. It's something in the text that's often overlooked. He's brought by his father, and I want you to hear the words of the father in verse 17. The father says that he has a dumb spirit. Everybody say dumb spirit.
Dumb spirit.
In the Greek, it means that he's mute. But in Matthew's account of the same story, chapter 17, Matthew calls the boy a lunatic. That means to be moonstruck, to be crazy, to be buck wild, to be foolish, fanatical, extreme, outlandish. Interestingly, one version goes so far, I believe it's the account in Luke of the same story, that says he's an epileptic. But he describes his son as a lunatic who possesses a dumb spirit. Hear me. And watch what he says in verse 18. He says, whenever it seizes him, somebody say seizes him.
Seizes him.
It throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. In verse 22, he says that his son keeps falling in water and in fire. Let's pay attention here. He keeps falling into the same stuff. He keeps doing the same thing. And he ends up in the same place. He keeps falling in the same miserable cycle, and he's a lunatic. He's somebody who doesn't appear to be learning from his mistakes, because he keeps falling back into the same stuff over and over. And I know right now I'm making somebody uncomfortable because you think I'm calling you a lunatic. But if I can use the text suggests that anybody who keeps falling into the same mess, the same activity, the same depression, the same dysfunction, the same type of relationship, to the extent that you've been falling into bad stuff so long that good stuff seems dysfunctional. Get this, you've grown accustomed to falling into the wrong thing, that when the right thing comes along, it looks abnormal. There is somebody who may not be a lunatic, but you've got some lunatikish behavior. You keep falling in and out of the same sin, same inflicted nonsense. The first man should have taught you a lesson. First woman should have taught you a lesson, but there you go again, falling into the same cycle. Job to job, nothing changes. City to city, nothing changes. Church to church, nothing changes. Man to man, nothing changes. Woman to woman, but nothing changes. From woman to men and back to women, and still nothing changes. You say all men are dogs and you're about the #1 dog catcher. You say ain't no women no good and you don't know gold. You're used to imitation gold. Why? What am I saying? Because you always want to put the blame on someone else, but you have to take action for your own responsibility. Oh, I wish I had a real church. And misery loves company, so other lunatikish people draw other lunatics. So they create a lunatic club. And they fight over who's going to be the president. What am I saying? Misery loves company. You keep going through the same stuff over and over again, and you keep trying to figure out what's wrong. why you can't change, make better choices, discern the voice of God, hear the Lord clearly, why things can't get better. It's because you are a lunatic. Verse 18 will help us. He keeps doing stuff, falling into stuff that's killing him, and it's extreme. But here is where people get challenged in the text. For the believer, it's not a challenge. For the believer, it's a shout. Verse 22 says that he keeps going through the fire and through the water, which means that he's been through stuff that should have burned him up. He's going through stuff that should have drowned him. But what brings the shout is, and the understanding is that what could have killed him becomes the ingredients for his testimony. So it's a good place to prepare yourself to give God praise. That even when you keep falling into the same patterns, the same lunaticish behaviors, you keep coming through, because in the midst of all of that stuff, there is purpose and destiny that is far greater than anything the enemy could attack. In fact, this is where you can really praise God and realize that you are a survivor. Because as bad as some things that we've done by the choices that we have made, we are still here. Well, I wish I had somebody else.